What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Game Script. I'm joined by Bob Gomes today, and we're going to go over the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're going to be building some lineups using RotoGrinders lineup optimizers. So stay tuned, and we'll get into it right after this. What's up, guys? Simon Edwards at Pumacom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching Game Script. Looking at the Super Bowl today between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. We got a 48.5 point total with Kansas City as 1.5 point favorites. And today I'm joined by Bob Gomes. Bob is a good friend of mine, and he has had a ton of success in DFS. And Bob, it's good to have you, man. How's it going?
Yeah, it's good to talk to you, Simon, about Super Bowl week. It's good, nice week for all the football fans out there. Better week for Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs fans, but yeah, us Patriots fans, we're not there this year, but maybe next year we're headed in the right direction.
You had a good run, man. You had a good run. It was like every year, it seemed, for about like 15, 20 years. It was ridiculous for a while there.
Yeah, you have to have the reset at some point, right? I think we've gone through our 5 years of reset. Next year we'll be contenders. I don't know if we're playoff contenders. I wouldn't say Super Bowl contenders, but definitely playoff contenders.
There you go. Yep, good quarterback. So it'd be interesting to see what happens next year. But yeah, Bob, I wanted to have because Bob has had a ton of success in DFS. He's a Millie Maker winner, one of the original Millie Maker winners. And he's had a lot of success over a long period of time. Like, Bob, you recently won a showdown contest. You won what, like 100K in showdown, like just a couple months ago?
75K in showdown. In week one, I think I hit for 35.
Nice. So yeah, so a lot of success with showdown. Makes him a perfect guy to have on this show because Bob is one of the most talented multi lineup entry guys in the industry, and we're going to be doing that with the RotoGrinders optimizer, the lineup HQ today. And Bob works with RotoGrinders. And Bob, where can they find your content in general?
Yeah, on RotoGrinders, Bobby Gomes DFS. I'm in lineup HQ. I'll be on Expert Survey for the Super Bowl, so you can check that out. I think Neil's going to be on there as well. Neil Orfield, who I know you had on pretty recently. Yeah, should be a good week of NFL content on RotoGrinders.
Good stuff, and it's always good to talk to Bob too. We worked together for a few years, and it's good to get him on one of these Game Script shows. So, Bob, let's take a look. We'll just go straight into the optimizer and kind of take a look at the player pool and kind of decide which guys that we want to actually put through to the player pool. Exclude them all in the beginning. That's what I typically do. Is that kind of what you do when you're building through an optimizer, Bob? You just kind of exclude all the guys.
I'll run it first and then see what it's giving me, but then I'll start excluding guys based on who's coming in over the field and who I'm getting a ton of and who I have a feel for based on projections, stuff like that.
Gotcha. You want to try it that way?
Yeah, we could run it first and then we could exclude.
All right, let's do that. So when you run it, so we have to make at least one change. So we got to get rid of at least one guy. So let's go in the captains here and just get rid of a guy that we wouldn't even have as a captain, Johnny Wilson and Carson Steele. We'll get rid of those guys. Going to build what do you build, 150?
Yeah, 300 I probably build.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I can get probably 200 on HQ here. So let's
200 on HQ. Yeah, just push it.
Let's do that. All right, so building now, and then we'll take a look at the ownership percentages when we get to the 200 lineups, and we'll kind of take a look and see how that compares to what we think of the plays and the potential for those guys to actually pay off with their ownership. Takes a minute for it to think and build 200 lineups. Bob, you got any overall thoughts on how the game might play out?
I'm for the Chiefs. I really like the Chiefs in this game. I will say my first rule probably, or first X, is going to be Captain Mahomes. I'm Captain Patrick Mahomes, not playing him, and he's in our first lineup in the optimal, which I kind of figured. But yeah, in the captain spot, I'm not playing Mahomes, and I would think about making the fade on Hurts if he didn't have the rushing equity that he had, especially with the tush push. But I'll definitely be playing some Hurts because of the tush push. Yeah. But Captain Mahomes isn't someone I'm considering. We're getting 57% at 15% ownership. I know that's a lot. He'll more than likely be in almost every one of my probably in the flex on every one of my teams. But I am not playing him in captain. I think that's the biggest mistake, is people just allocate too much to captain, and the public's going to be all over Mahomes based on it just being Patrick Mahomes. And this is the one day you get casuals, and I'm not playing any Patrick Mahomes on the slate.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think that I'm shocked, to be honest with you, that the the projections are kind of pushing him at 57% in the captain spot. When I go back and I build, like I'll knock his projection way down. I'm not going to have 50. Yeah, I'm not going to have any Captain Mahomes either, I don't think. Neil Orfield was on the same page with that too. When I had him on the show the other day, we both thought it was kind of ridiculous that he was the highest projected ownership at captain, but it kind of goes to show, what the mindset is of, this slate. Let's take a look at some of these other captains. We got Xavier Worthy. He's coming in second, projected at 9.1, and he came in for us at 17%. What are your thoughts there, Bob?
I really like Worthy. He's probably my second favorite Chiefs pass catcher. I'm going to be loading up on Kelce, but Worthy's definitely my second favorite Chiefs pass catcher.
What is it about Worthy that you like in this matchup? Is there anything matchup specific, or is it more because like the Sims are kind of pointing in that direction?
It seems like just because he's basically like really evolved in the offense. The reason I like Kelce more is because it's a Vic Fangio offense. They give a lot of stuff like within the middle of the field traditionally. So that's why I'm leaning more Kelce. I feel like people try to make Noah Gray work and stuff like that on a slate like this, and I just want to be overweight Kelce. With Worthy, I just think he's the number one receiver for Mahomes, and he's going to basically garner a lot of the target share. So Worthy for me would be right behind Kelce in my number two Chiefs pass catcher. My captain pool is going to be really small. Like I'm only playing like 5 captains if I had a guess.
Yeah. I think I'm probably going to lean that way too. And Bob, I'll tell you which captains that I like and see if we sync up on that. I like Worthy. I like Hollywood. I like Kelce. I like Goedert, and I like Smith. And I do like AJ Brown too, so maybe 6 for me. But who are yours?
That would be my 6 probably. With Barkley kind of leading the charge. I'm probably playing Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Worthy, Kelce, Brown, Goedert. Let's see, Smith. I guess I have like 8. I just thought it was going to be more condensed, and that's literally it. Like all the guys that I think can hit somewhat of a ceiling, and the Philly offense is so condensed, right? Like I'm not really, and then these Chiefs ancillary pieces, like they're fine. But I'd rather the pass catchers, I guess, than Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, who probably will be splitting work. So
yeah, it's funny because like when I first looked at this slate, I was like, oh, it's going to be easy to break down, who my captains are. And I've been looking at it for a week, and I still have like 8 guys that I think could be potential. Like I'm in the same boat as you, man. I can't figure out how to break it down and kind of whittle down my captain pool, which sucks because it's like this is the week that I want to play 50 lineups and I want to have a condensed captain pool, but I can't I can't get away from like a lot of these guys. So, it's going to take some more thinking over the next few days. It's going to take some more, research and kind of digging in, but I've kind of I've built some cases, and I'll give you, like a case for how I think the game might play out in a minute here, Bob. I just want to remind the viewers to hit the like button. Looking for 30 likes to put out my favorite picks in the comment section as we get closer to lock, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. I need about 100 subscribers left to get to my goal. I've been firing on all cylinders with the subscriptions this year, guys. I appreciate it, but I need another 100 to get to my goal, so I definitely appreciate that. And Bob, you mentioned Kelce, that you liked him as a captain. He came in at 2% for us, but he's 8% for the field. So I think he would be a guy that we would need to bump up maybe a little bit with our projection.
I think so, yeah. I just think people are going to try to, like, it's obvious Noah Gray is the pivot.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to try to be getting to Noah Gray, which is fine. I'll have Noah Gray Kelce lineups together.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm doing differently, I think, is not playing Mahomes and captain, so I can get more Kelce if I feel. I just think the narrative around Kelce is obviously he's long in the tooth, but as we've seen in that Super Bowl for just thinking back to like the Patriots versus Rams, it was the same kind of thing for Gronkowski and Gronkowski smash. So
yeah,
I think that Mahomes this will be a game that they'll go all out, and the best way to beat the Fangio defense is to work the middle of the field, and Kelce's probably one of the best all time at it.
I think Meg Shoop shipped that showdown, that Super Bowl showdown where Gronk was the captain. I remember that. We were at the RG party for that one. Not Meg, but like the RG party. We were all talking about Gronk and the captain. I think I had a little bit of exposure to him and the captain that year. I liked him a lot, but for whatever reason, I talked myself out of it. But yeah, no, that was a fun year for like Super Bowl showdown. And I think this year is going to be pretty fun too. Let's see. Oh, let's look at the flex players. Let's see what the ownership here is on the flex players. We got 69% Hurts. That goes against 45% of the field, at least projected. Worthy, we're looking at 69% too. So Worthy and Hurts are highest owned flex guys, 37% of the field. Hollywood Brown, we're looking at 52% ownership. Hollywood Brown's a guy that I like this week. The ownership projection is 26%. And not sure that. What do you think of that projection, Bob? Do you think he comes in higher or lower than 26%?
I think he'll probably come in higher because of the price.
Yeah, I think so too. He's pretty cheap. Him and Goedert are falling in that same price range. Goedert is projected at around 31%. Our lineup builder gave us 39%. Goedert's another guy. The Chiefs have been really bad against tight ends this whole season, and Goedert's been a big part of this offense. I think Goedert's going to get steam heading into Sunday. I think that 31% might be low, but it's probably not including his captain ownership. What did the captain ownership on Goedert come in at? 2%. So I think Goedert comes in higher owned than that. What do you think on Goedert in this matchup?
I'm with you. I think he comes in higher owned just because of the defense first position. They haven't been great all year versus tight ends. So I don't. The one Philly guy I'm having an issue with is AJ Brown. I wanted to get your take on that. I like Goedert. I like Devonta Smith. It's AJ Brown that I'm kind of. I feel like I'll be less at the field or below the field in terms of like my captain percentage. And in the flex, I might be over on Goedert and Smith, where AJ Brown, I'm probably taking the same stand. In terms of like where I'm going to be, in terms of my exposure, I feel like I'll probably be up below the field or slightly at the field.
So if he comes in at 10%, that's probably a little high for me with AJ Brown if he ends up being the fourth highest owned guy just because of the matchup. But I do if he comes in under 10% like projected, if he's at around that 7 or 8% range, then I do like AJ Brown just because of his upside and the potential to get him at an ownership discount in the captain spot. But it's really, for me, it's going to come down to ownership, because I can build a story around AJ Brown if it makes sense, if it's cheap to do it. But if he's coming in like too high owned, then I don't think it makes a lot of sense, especially because I like Devonta Smith better. Just the way that Kansas City performs against slot receivers. Slot receivers have scored 9 touchdowns versus Kansas City this season, and Devonta Smith is one of those guys that will probably get overlooked this week. What's his ownership in the captain? Looking at 6%. Like I love that number, and he's cheap. And you like him. You like him too, Bob. What are your thoughts on Smith?
Yeah, Devonta Smith. Even in the last Super Bowl, I think I took the approach of playing more Devonta Smith than AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Because of how the Chiefs D has performed versus the slot. Mm-hmm. I like Smith. I think that they're going to try to take away a guy like Brown. They're going to try to take away Saquon. Smith and Goedert probably get lost in the shuffle. So fine with basically getting more exposure to Smith and Goedert, or going double the field on those guys rather than Brown.
Yeah, teams have been targeting the slot at 39.9% rate against the Chiefs this season, and teams have been targeting the wideouts against the Chiefs 35.14. So, the targets are funneling to the slot versus the Chiefs. And, I don't think that's going to change in this one, because they're going to be putting extra attention on AJ Brown. Obviously, their secondary is pretty good. And I think that they should be able to at least slow AJ Brown down. But like I said, if the ownership is low on Brown, then we can definitely build a case for him, beating McDuffie, or if that's going to be the shadow coverage this week.
Yeah, I think there's a case for Brown. I'm just worried basically on how they've utilized him and where his head's at currently. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed on Twitter, he's become a flat earther. So there's some question marks there. For me, it's going to be more going to the other guys, but I get obviously the ceiling that AJ Brown has. I just don't think I'm going to be making that move this week.
Yeah, I'm trying, usually AJ Brown will pop off, when he goes a week of just getting doubt, people doubting him and stuff. And I don't think there's been a lot of haters on him, because he had that big game against Washington. So I don't think that, he has anything to prove, to any haters this week. But he does, obviously want to win that Super Bowl. So that's a big enough incentive for him to pop off this week. It's going to kind of depend on Jalen Hurts and the situation with Jalen Hurts. One of the worst quarterbacks versus pressure, and Kansas City should be able to get pressure on him. We're looking at the center. Cam Jurgens was hurt in the last game against Washington, and he was actually an emergency backup as the center in that game. Ended up coming into the game because his sub Dickerson ended up getting hurt in that game. He had bad knees. So both those guys are hurt. Both those guys are starting offensive linemen. And, so Hurts' knee was supposedly hurt leading into that Washington game too. He hurt it in the against the Rams in the Rams game. And it looked like it was going to be a bad injury, the way that Hurts fell on that knee. And then there was a question all throughout the week on, how healthy he was going to be, whether he's going to be wearing a knee brace and everything like that. Comes into the game. I think Dean was mentioning yesterday that he ended up taking off the brace before the game started, so he didn't even wear a brace. And then Hurts ended up having a pretty monster game against he got 35 DraftKings points against Washington. So, no effects of that injury were felt, but, against a Kansas City team that should be able to put enough pressure on him, especially if he has a couple wounded offensive linemen, like that could throw a little bit of doubt into AJ Brown. On top of that, Hurts is holding the ball at the highest, the highest amount of time in the league, pretty much. And that's not gonna help him out with getting sacked and stuff like that. So Hurts could be in a rough situation. I wouldn't be surprised if he's having to lean more on Smith and Goedert in this one.
Yeah, I just want to know Saquon's rushing prop. I know we're getting I want to have Saquon. Probably going to have Saquon on every one of my teams. At least one captain, one in the flex, and let him just hit that way. And I wonder always how that correlates to Hurts, as everyone does, because Hurts is the natural leverage, especially at the goal line.
Yeah.
But in a game like this, you can play them together. Maybe people won't. I definitely think that you'll probably see a push of the goal line for Hurts, and he likely gets in. So if we're giving them a touchdown off the bat, I want to have a good bit of Hurts, but for me, Saquon's ceiling and rushing prop and what he can do, even when Hurts had that great game, it was Saquon that also had the 3 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're both very much in play for me. My issue with Hurts is he going to throw the ball? What's his passing prop? I just want to see quickly. Passing yards. 212 and a half. FanDuel has him at 211 and a half. So to Mahomes is 251. I bet you Hurts' rushing prop is very high. Just want to see that quickly. Hurts is 37 and a half at Caesars, 36 and a half at FanDuel, 38 and a half at DraftKings.
Are you talking for rushing yards?
For his rushing prop, yeah.
Okay.
Pinnacle has him at 40 and a half. Yeah, Hurts, it's going to be between Hurts and Mahomes. I'll have one of Hurts and Mahomes on every team. I just don't know how you don't basically get to builds like that. What did you get it to him, you said? What was the number that you were getting him at when you ran it?
For the ownership on Mahomes?
Or on Hurts? Hurts, where did you get him?
Yeah, let's check that out real quick. So when I was running it with the optimizer gave me 11%, and his projected is 13%.
His projected is 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting just a little bit above the field at 12%. Jalen Hurts.
Okay, I think that makes sense. Like we saw last week, both those guys ended up scoring 3 touchdowns each. It was one of those weird games where everybody was just scoring rushing touchdowns. We didn't get any. I think maybe AJ Brown. I can't remember if AJ Brown caught a touchdown, but for the most part, it was all.
I think he caught one.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so he caught one, but then for the most part, it was like everybody else was rushing it in. They just destroyed the Commanders. Like the way that I kind of see this game playing out, I think it goes under the total. Bob, are you thinking under 2, or what do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking it probably goes under the total. It'll be the second time these two teams met in the Super Bowl. Coaching staffs familiar with each other. I think it would. We've already seen the total go down from 49, so I think it's at 48 and a half currently. Yeah, I could see it going. I could see it being like a very defensive game.
Yeah, I could see that too. Because like I was saying about Hurts, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets sacked a few times in this one. And on the other side with Mahomes, like the Eagles are the top defense at defending against passes at or behind the line of scrimmage, and that is where Patrick Mahomes has thrown 27% of his passes. So he probably one of the worst matchups for Mahomes that you could think up, because he's going against Vic Fangio. If you look at the history between Fangio and Mahomes has beat him 8 times. 9 if you include the time where the Fangio was consulting the Eagles in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But the thing is, if you look closer at the numbers, and Warren Sharp pointed this out, when they get to the red zone against Fangio, typically, Mahomes will convert at like around a 68% clip, or the Chiefs will convert at a 68% clip. But against Fangio's defenses, it goes down to about 38. So Fangio's been really good defending against Mahomes in the red zone. On top of that, the Chiefs in general this season have been struggling in the red zone. So, I do think that the Chiefs are going to have trouble scoring touchdowns in this one. I think they'll get a lot of field goals, just because I think they're going to be able to move the ball effectively. Bend but don't break defense with the Eagles. I think that kind of lends itself to Kelce, like that. The Chiefs might be stuck throwing to the intermediate parts of the field if they're not able to throw deep against the Eagles with that secondary, being pretty effective this year. On top of just the style of defense that they run. But then if they're not able to throw it at or behind the line of scrimmage, on top of that, that's where I think it opens things up for Kelce. But I also think it opens things up for the run game for the Chiefs. Nakobe Dean is basically the only notable injury in this one. He's on IR, and he had a rushing grade of like 83. And to not have him helping them defend against the run, the Eagles have been a little bit weaker against the run lately. And if they're trying to put a little bit extra time or to stopping Mahomes, I wouldn't be surprised if the run game does well in this game.
Yeah, I can see the running backs doing it. I would caution with like the red zone going down, like Kareem Hunt and Pacheco. Probably wouldn't be willing to play them together. Probably max one of two in the flex position. Yeah, and then like, are their ceilings capped? Like, who's going to be scoring in the red zone? That's the thing. Like, I think he'll go to reliable Kelce if he's having issues. I do think the running backs are fine. I just think if I had to choose one, it would be Hunt over Pacheco. It just seems like they're more comfortable with Hunt, and Pacheco just looks not good. I don't know if you had a lean between the two running backs.
I lean Hunt, but I do think that Pacheco at this point, he's like 7 or 8 weeks removed from his injury, and he just came off of like a bye week. I wouldn't be surprised if this would be the type of week where we saw them use Pacheco a little bit more effectively, or Pacheco might be a little bit more. Have a little bit more juice in him. But, at the same time, like you said, Kareem Hunt has kind of taken over this backfield. He's looked better, but he's also had a couple weeks off, and, like an old guy having a couple weeks off heading into the Super Bowl. Kareem Hunt, I could see him having a good game, but I would leave Pacheco in the player pool too. And I think that, we can set a rule for only, one or the other.
It's a tough rule in Showdown. I just don't I feel like you obviously don't have to make that rule, but for me, like, I'd be fine with Hunt hitting with, say, P. Ryan more than I would Pacheco, just because of the difference with P. Ryan's price. I think P. Ryan's at 1,800, Pacheco's at 7-8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The two of them, that's for the captain. I'm sorry. P. Ryan's at 1,200. Pacheco's at whereas Pacheco's at 5,200. The savings. Like, I wouldn't mind P. Ryan and Hunt in the lineup, whereas Pacheco and Hunt in the lineup I'd probably have issue with.
Yeah, I agree with that, because P. Ryan is one of those guys that they could use on. So this is my kind of theory with the Chiefs. When they've had this much time to prepare for a game, they're going to figure out a way to kind of bait that defense and use an unexpected guy to score a touchdown. We see it every year with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Last year, it was MVS and McCole Hardman coming out of nowhere with touchdowns. And, really, like that McCole Hardman, there was a reason why he's wide open for that touchdown, game-winning touchdown, is because, like, nobody was expecting it. You know what I mean? Like, and the year prior to that, it was Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. Like two guys who did not have very big roles in the offense up until that point. They'd used Toney on and off at points in the season, but for the most part, those guys weren't being used a ton. This year, guys not being used a ton right now. You got names like DeAndre Hopkins and Justin Watson, but you also got Samaje Perine, and Perine. I've seen the effects that Perine can have if he's super low owned. I had him in that lineup where I just barely lost first place. He was 2% owned in that. When he scored a touchdown, that put me in first place. He was only 2% owned, so it put me in first place with only six other people, and it put me in first by around 6 points. And I held that all the way through the last play of overtime, when Kareem Hunt scored a touchdown and knocked me out of first place. But Samaje Perine is the type of guy that could leak out. We saw it with Buffalo last week to seal the game, where he leaks out and he gets that pass thrown to him because nobody was expecting the ball to go to him. I could see that happening in a game like this with Perine or Watson or Hopkins. Just one of those unexpected guys scoring a touchdown. And I with Chiefs pass catchers, I'd probably put all of them in my player pool and just set a rule, not to have like more than one of those scrubby guys.
Yeah, the scrubs I definitely probably group away from each other. But yeah, Hollywood, Worthy, and Kelce, I'm kind of fine if they all hit. Especially in Showdown, don't really have any issues with it. I will say, like, I feel like you want one of these Noah Gray. Any thoughts on DeAndre Hopkins? Like, we've seen Smith-Schuster basically matching him in snap percentage, and getting more targets. Could DeAndre be utilized more this week? That's a question I have for myself. Like, I currently think I can't believe I'm saying, I think I'd prefer Juju.
Juju had 38% snap share last week, I think.
Yeah. Juju, I'm just thinking the group, Juju, Hopkins, Watson, Gray, like at most one of those guys, I think would be the way to go.
Yeah. Let's get Worthy in the I'm just putting guys into the player pool here. Kelce, AJ Brown, we like Devonta, we like Hollywood Brown, we like Goedert, Butker, Elliott. Yeah, let's get him in there. Defenses, let's just get him in there. I think the only other player, I don't like any of these cheap Eagles. The only cheap Eagle that I like is Gainwell, because we see him involved sometimes, but Dotson, Calcaterra, I just don't see those guys getting any usage. I think if we're going to go with a one of those cheaper dumpster dives, I think the Chiefs are much better because those guys are more unpredictable with who the ball might go to. But what are your thoughts there, Bob?
Yeah, the Eagles are just so condensed up top that I'd much rather take shots on like the value Chiefs rather than these Eagles. I'm with you. I think Gainwell would probably be my favorite, followed by probably Dotson, but that's literally it. And I don't think I'm playing a ton of Dotson. I'd prefer getting more Gainwell.
Gotcha. Yeah. So with our captains, we like Worthy as an option. We like Kelce as an option. We like Brown, Goedert. Any thoughts on Hunt as a captain option, or are you against that?
I'm not playing any Chiefs running backs and captain, but if I was, Hunt would be the next guy in for me.
Cool. Let's just throw him in there. Okay, so that narrows our player pool down to 30 guys. Now this is a much bigger captain pool than I would normally have, and probably you too, Bob, right?
I thought I was just playing 5 captains. Like I looked at this earlier in the week, but then I got to it and I'm like, oh, Hollywood Brown's there. Probably has to be considered.
Yeah.
I knew like the first thing I was doing was Xing Mahomes. So That should be interesting how that fade goes.
Yeah, I think the thing with these
fade and captains was not in the flex,
yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, like I'm with you on the Mahomes. To me, it's an easy fade. Like I just think that the Eagles defense matches up too well against them. The only way that I could see, like Mahomes being a captain is if the Eagles come into this game knowing that they can get stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage. They can get stopped deep, and they have to choose one or the other. You might as well choose deep at that point because it's like if you're going to get stopped at or behind the line of scrimmage, then why the hell even do it? Like when you can throw it deep, and at least if it hits, then you've made up a ton of yardage. So that's why I kind of like Hollywood this week, and I kind of like Worthy as the potential captain options. If I had to choose my favorite captain, I think my favorite captain would be Kelce on the Chiefs side, and the reason for that is just because those at or behind the line of scrimmage passes are all going to Worthy with his speed, right? So I think Kelce makes sense as a captain. I think that Brown makes sense as a captain if we're going to play that angle that they're going to put a little bit more attention on trying to throw deep. Worthy obviously makes sense as a captain too, but I think I would choose Kelce over Worthy if I had to choose between those two guys.
Yeah, you have me thinking about my Smith over Brown decision more and more. And I do think if they want, I do think a lot of people are gonna have that same take, and it might just the better idea might just be to take Brown over Smith.
Brown over Smith, yeah.
Just have more exposure to Brown than Smith. Kelce, I love Kelce on this slate. I think he's phenomenal. And I also think that a lot of people will I think Noah Gray might be everyone's favorite pivot or low volume, sneaky play that doesn't end up sneaky. Where I just want to be overweight as possible to Kelce, or I think you can probably put them together, but I'm still going to have Gray. I want to be as much overweight to Kelce than any of these other Chiefs receivers. Obviously, Worthy's a close second, but Kelce's my favorite.
Yeah, and you know what? With Gray being 2,800, there's a couple guys in that same price range who should be much lower owned. Who I actually, like too. Well, it looks like they're projecting Smith-Schuster at 14%. They're projecting Gray at 11%. I guess Smith-Schuster's probably getting a little bit more steam just because he had a couple big plays in that last game. So maybe it makes more sense to go Gray over Smith-Schuster. But Samaje Perine, I think, is one that could get a sneaky touchdown. I think Justin Watson is another guy who's going way, way under owned. He's at 2.9%. And $600. And how many times have we seen that guy, sneak in a touchdown in some of these big games?
Yeah, I like both the Watson and Perine call for low value GPP plays. When everyone's going to be trying to figure out Hunt and Pacheco, I was thinking about grouping them away from each other and just letting Perine hit in my double running back builds, because I think he is likely to be the one that runs that gadget. They could have one drive where they're struggling to score points and they may let him leak out and they dump it off quick to him and he's in, and those are all the points you need. So yeah, I like Perine. Watson, like you said, he's been of the value pieces, I feel like over the last 3 years, he's probably been the most reliable for Mahomes. So I'd have definitely some exposure to him. Juju's going to be a tough one if he gets chalky. Maybe you play DeAndre at that point, and just pay the extra salary for Hopkins. I feel like a lot of people have just been trying to make Hopkins work, make him work. Maybe this is the slate. It flips back. Last one of the year, also probably his first Super Bowl. I don't mind flipping Juju and D-Hop, especially because I just think D-Hop's better than Juju, but obviously Juju's had showed more rapport with Mahomes, so it's definitely a tough call, but if Juju's going to be the chalkiest, I'd rather play D-Hop.
Yeah, D-Hop is, I'm seeing him projected in the flex at 7.54%. Versus 14% for Smith-Schuster. I mean, to me, that's an easy Hopkins play, like over Smith-Schuster, given those.
Yeah, it seems easy, or you could just close the gap.
Yeah,
you could close it. But yeah, if more people are going to use Juju, then I think it's an easy flip in terms of if you wanted to go 7% for Juju and 14% for Hopkins. I think that's totally fine.
So for my KCC scrubby guys, tell me who I should add or take out of this group, Bob. I got Hopkins, Gray, Smith-Schuster, P. Ryan, and Watson. I probably only want one of those guys, right?
Yeah, I would do at most one.
Okay. Should I take Hopkins out of that group, do you think?
No, you can leave him in. Why would you take him out? I would just switch his exposure.
I was thinking
roast him.
Like, because if Hopkins ends up playing a bigger role in this game, and then like let's say he kind of takes on a bigger role, and maybe Hollywood takes a lesser role or something weird happens.
I don't think we're going to see that though.
Okay.
I would just change I would flip his exposure with Juju. I don't think we're going to see that.
Okay. So, are there any other groups of guys do you think that we should kind of limit having together?
Like the one I was thinking about was Hunt and Pacheco, but I also think that's a bad rule on Showdown usually. I just from the eye test, I think Pacheco's complete dust.
Yeah, he's looked bad.
What else could we do? I'm trying to think.
I think
if Brown or if Worthy and Brown and the captain, I would make sure you have their quarterbacks with them.
Okay.
And even the tight ends, like tight end ceiling games usually correlate with quarterbacks. So I think you should be getting those anyways, but Kelce and Goedert, I would both have attached to Hurts or Mahomes.
Okay. So let's see. So if I have Goedert, what would be the best way to do that? Like have all the captains, and then if I have like the Eagles receiver and captain, then put conditional player Hurts in the flex.
Yeah.
Okay. Brown. And
flex Brown. You put in captain. Oh, you're doing okay.
Yeah. I was going to do that and then put conditional player.
Flex Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts in the flex. So we got that. We got Eagles captains, and we'll do the same thing for the Chiefs. And we'll go with Kelce, Worthy, and Brown, right?
Yeah.
So if we have one of those guys and we want to have Patrick Mahomes in the flex, you're thinking?
Yeah, I would have Pat in the flex for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna just lock button Mahomes in the flex.
Gotcha. Cool. So I think with me, like I probably be a little bit different there in that I think that if we have Barkley and we got Hurts in this player pool, I think that there is a possibility, even if we see like Kelce, Worthy, or Brown, you'll rack up PPR points in the captain spot, that it would be possible that both Hurts and Barkley still outscore Brown or still outscore Mahomes. But I do think that if one of those Eagles receivers like has a big game, then it's more likely that Jalen Hurts would be like attached to that receiver just because he's got that bonus with the rushing upside. But I mean, Mahomes has rushing upside too, so maybe that's kind of a moot point there. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I want as much Barkley as possible. So obviously, they broke. It's going to get expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, with a guy like Brown, you probably do want Hurts rather than Barkley. Yeah, maybe he'd be the one I'd be willing to play to lose my Barkley exposure for and not totally lock Barkley because I wouldn't want him hitting with Brown.
Gotcha. Okay.
I haven't built it out, so I don't even know. I don't know if you can do that or not. I have no idea.
So what was that? Yeah, go ahead.
Like you might be able to get all three, but I doubt it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let's
like you probably have to lose Mahomes in that instance. So
gotcha. Okay. The
guy I want the most is Barkley. So if anything, like look at Barkley's, like we kind of already hit on it. Barkley's rushing props 113.5.
Yeah.
Like, is anyone else close? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I can't. It's just tough not to have lineups with Barkley, which makes it difficult when you're trying to correlate Hurts and Mahomes.
Right.
With their top receivers.
Yeah.
Dude.
Well, let's
go through and think about it more.
Cool. Let's go with some of these projections. Like Mahomes, we're both pretty sure that he's not going to be the highest scoring guy on the slate, right, Bob?
I don't think he's worth playing in captain. He could be the highest scoring guy on the slate. It's just like he's going to be overowned for as much as we see the captain quarterbacks, a captain be optimal.
So if we had a projection of 23 points, would you think that maybe 19 or 20 would be more fair?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, let's go with 19 on him. Barkley, we want to bump up. If we want to bump Barkley so that we're making sure that we're getting him in a significant amount of lineups, what would you bump him up to?
I would hit all the bumps on Barkley.
So go to like 30?
I would. Where's the little bump up button? I would go up to 5. Barkley's my favorite play. Like I'm juicing Barkley. Yeah.
Okay. I've never seen this this feature. This is new to me, like this bump feature.
That's been there for years, Simon.
I usually just manually change the point projection.
That's what I wish people had more of a, but it's good to do when you don't have a lot of time, but like you want to project better, but
yeah,
I want as much Barkley as possible.
Okay. Yeah, I like that feature, man. Like what about the Mahomes? I changed his fantasy points, but should I just bump him down, do you think? Like what should I do there?
Yeah, you could bump him down. I would just add him in captain. Like I don't think I'd be willing to bump down as I just don't think that QB is as optimal at captain a lot of the time. So I'd be perfectly willing to get away from Pat.
Okay. I'll just leave him at 19 projection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave him there.
You still want a lot of Mahomes, like in the flex.
Right. So I'll leave Hurts at 20 then, so that way we're not, should give us about an even distribution of Hurts and Mahomes. If we got, Hurts at 10.4 K and Mahomes at 10K and Hurts is just slightly projected more than Mahomes. Worthy, we got projected at 16 points. Do we want to bump Worthy? Or not? Let's bump Kelce, dude. Like
I would bump Kelce. Yeah, I would bump. I want as much Kelce as possible.
All right, let's give him a 3.
He's like my second favorite. I would say I'd give him a 4.
All right, let's give him a 4. All right, so 4 for Kelce. We got A.J. Brown. What are we going to do with Brown here, Bob?
I would have both Hurts and Worthy ahead of Brown, and Brown would be my last bump. So I'd have Hurts at 3, Worthy at 2, and Brown at 1.
Brown at 1. All right, so you think Worthy at 2? Okay.
Yeah.
And Hurts at 3. Okay. So
yeah.
Bump him at 3. We got Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith is one of my favorite plays on the slate. But what do you think there, Bob?
I've moved off Devonta Smith since the beginning of the show, and I'm more interested in
okay. Cool. Hollywood Brown. What do you think we should do there?
He's just going to hit because he's projecting so well. So I don't think you really have to do much.
Cool. And Goedert, probably the same. He's in that same price range.
Yeah. They're pretty strong projections for both Smith, Goedert, and Brown. I don't think you need to touch that too much.
I think we should bump Butker because I think he's going to be busy. I think he's going to get more than 8 DraftKings points.
I'm fine with bumping Butker. It's Jake Elliott that I have issues with.
Yep, I agree with that.
I would bet Jake Elliott misses a field goal in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many.
He's been very shaky.
Yeah, I mean, on top of him being shaky, the Eagles are probably more likely to go for it on 4th. I just think that Butker is more likely to be kicking field goals in this one. And what do you think? 2? Make him a 2?
Yeah, make him a 2.
All right. Other than that, we got our scrubby guys. Justin Watson at 0.3. I'm gonna bump him up to 3 points instead of bumping him the regular bump. I'm just gonna put him at. What do you think? Like 2 or 3 points?
I think 2 is fine for your scrubs. I wouldn't be juicing it up too much.
Okay. All right. So I think
it's the studs that you want to give the high. They're already projecting well anyway, so you want to really hammer them home with the 5.
So we've altered our lineups. Want me to go ahead and build 200?
Yeah, let's see how it shows.
Made in the lab here. What are your thoughts? How many captains do you think it's going to give us this time?
It should be tighter.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to leave any of them out. Probably Mahomes. Well, we don't have Mahomes in our captain pool, so I wonder who it's going to leave out. But yeah, just a reminder, hit that like button, get us to 30 likes so we can put the favorite picks in the comment section as we get closer to lock. Let's go ahead and look at these captains. Gave us all our captains. A few of those guys are only 1 lineup out of 200, which goes to show, pretty much these 4 guys are going to be the main, the main guys that the optimizer likes with our alterations there. We got Xavier Worthy as our top owned guy at 38%. We got Hollywood Brown at 28%. We got Hurts at 14%. And we got Goedert at 13%. What are your thoughts there? He didn't give us any Kelce in the captain, so a little bit worried about that. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, I'm probably just gonna get over on Kelce and Barkley.
Yeah,
and Hurts, and just go from there.
I don't
mind Captain Worthy though.
Yeah, Captain Worthy. Let's bump. Let's go ahead and we can't go more than 5, right?
No.
Okay.
It's capped at 5.
So if I want to get more, I have to basically bump up his salary too. Or
his
projection.
Yeah.
All right. So where do you think we should bump that? 25, 28, 50?
In terms of projection, you can bump them 5. Right, what do we have them projected at currently?
21.7.
21.7. What about, let's get them up to 27. See where you get.
All right, I like that. All right, 27. We wanted to bump Kelce a little bit too.
Where do we have Kelce?
We got him at 4 right now, but his projection is 15.8.
Yeah, I would get him to 20.
20. Okay. I think he's going to be busy, man. I think he's going to get a lot of targets in this one, just based on, where the weakness is going to be for Philly's defense in this. AJ Brown, do we want to bump him a little bit, or you think he was good where we got him?
I would bump Brown. What do we have for his current projection?
15.6.
I give him 18.
18.
I give Hurts 19.
Okay. Hurts down to 19.
Oh, Hurts is down to 19. Leave Hurts at 20.
Okay. 20.3. All right. So this is going to switch us up a little bit in our order. Let's go ahead and build these lineups and see what we get. So, Bob, how process? You usually use? Do you use the RotoGrinder Sims, or like what?
I'll use the Sims. Yeah.
Are you? Yeah. Sims is something I've tried to mess around with it. I feel like when I run them, like basically, maybe I'm doing it wrong, but is there only like you can bump up like certain conditions of the slate as opposed to individual guys, or like what, like maybe I'm not doing it right, but I always feel like I don't have enough control over what I can bump up with the Sims.
That's the thing, is like you're supposed to just, I wouldn't worry about having too much control. It would just X guys prior to your player pool.
Gotcha.
And trust the Sims, as they say.
All right. So we've gotten 28% Worthy still. Now this is notable when we're trying to get guys into more exposure in the captain and bumping guys up. We're raising their projections and stuff, and Worthy is still coming in at 28% of our lineups as the captain.
Yeah, Worthy. It likes Worthy.
Yeah. Brown
I'm fine with Worthy. I just have a hunch for Saquon and Kelce. I want to get to them.
Yeah. So it gave us 22% Brown, 17% Kelce. Barkley, even with bumping him up, it comes in at 5% for us.
I'm looking at RG Sims. I want to see where Barkley is in the captain currently.
Yeah, I'm interested in.
Yeah, I'm getting 3% of Barkley in the captain.
3%. Okay.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's just a price constraint with Barkley. He's just too expensive for it to make a lot of sense in when you're building with an optimizer.
It seems like that's the case, but even in Sims, it's leaning towards the Barkley fade.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, to me, that makes sense.
Just a note. I just would have a tough time fading him.
Yeah. I don't think I'd fade him, like, obviously completely. In the captain, I built a lineup with Neil when he was on the show, and we built a Barkley lineup. Check that out on YouTube, by the way. And we both really liked the lineup that we came up with Barkley in the captain. It made a lot of sense. It seemed like it had a lot of upside, and we were shocked at how easy it was to build. And if Barkley's coming in, projected at 11% ownership, and these optimizers are having a trouble getting Barkley into that captain spot, maybe he comes in less than 11-12%. What do you think, Bob?
Yeah, maybe he comes in less because it's tougher to build him in. I think people will force it. If people are going to try to fade Barkley, it's going to be really a tough Sunday night for everyone. I know the Chiefs D is good and Spagnuolo is great, but I feel like this is the best player in football right now. And if Sirianni said if they want to win, they're going to run the football, and I think Barkley will have success. We've seen the success James Cook had, right?
Right.
I guess they might have been giving more to like stopping the pass. I just think Barkley is on another level. So it just takes one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. You know, I think I did something wrong because we're not getting any Mahomes with these Worthy captains. You know what I think?
I think what you did was
you
didn't do at least one. It was no more than one. So
yeah, you're right.
I would go back and change. I noticed it, but I didn't want to stop you from because you were kind of in the zone there.
So you think? Let's see. Yeah, so open those up to one. That should fix it, right?
It should fix it. Yeah.
Okay. This time. I was thinking for a minute there. I thought it was gonna stall out on us, Bob.
Yeah, I noticed the 0 there, and
let's see what it gives us here. I appreciate that though, man. Like let me ride in the zone like that.
I was also doing K too, so I was like,
right, here we go. All right, let's take another look at these captains here. All right, so with that rule, we still get Worthy, 21%. Goedert bumps up to 19%. Hurts, 13%. Hollywood Brown, this spreads it a lot around a lot more evenly. Brown at 13%, Kelce at 12%, AJ Brown at 11%, and Barkley at 5%.
Still not getting Mahomes with Worthy for some reason.
Let's see, Worthy. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know.
I haven't used this for Showdown in so long.
Yeah,
I just use the Sims. So I'm not.
Here's a Worthy with Mahomes. So a couple of them, it looks like they booted him, but let's go through and pick out some of our favorite lineups here, Bob. So go ahead.
I would go right to I want to see Saquon teams.
Okay, let's go to the first Saquon team.
There's a Saquon team.
Oh, there we go. Yep. We got Saquon, P. Ryan, Chiefs D, Xavier Worthy.
Fading both Mahomes and Hurts.
Let's try messing around with it. Let's get Kelce out. Let's put Worthy instead of Kelce. And let's swap Brown out to Mahomes. This is going to put us over the total, obviously, but who else can we swap out here? Worthy. Worthy we just swapped to. Brown. I'm going to swap Hollywood Brown to, we can get Butker in there. Let's get Butker. So that would give us, like Worthy, Mahomes, Butker, Goedert, Barkley, and Smith-Schuster, which I don't mind that type of build. What do you think there, Bob?
Yeah, I like that. You have Mahomes. You have correlation with Mahomes. You have Goedert and Barkley. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and this is one. I think this is very similar to what me and Neil were building, and you could swap out, Smith-Schuster to to Noah Gray. You got P. Ryan and you got Watson. You got all those scrubby options. That's like the type of team that you could use as your core, and then just rotate out the scrubby Chiefs guys on. Like the thing I like about this build, we got the volume guy, we got the quarterback, we got Butker, who we've already established, might be busy. We could swap from Mahomes to Hurts if we wanted to. We still have that option. And then we got Smith-Schuster, who was getting a bigger part of the workload last week, and he's also cheap. So we got a lot of realistic upside with this lineup. And if we wanted to, we could even swap Goedert out to Hunt or Brown or something like that. But I wouldn't want to go 5-1. What do you think of 5-1 builds, Bob? Are you leaning?
I'd lean more 4-2.
4-2? Yeah. I think 4-2 too. I actually like the 4-2 Eagles builds as well. I'm leaning more towards the Eagles winning this game than the Chiefs. Yeah. If we wanted to, Bob, let's go in and build one manually now. So you want Barkley in the captain, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put Barkley in there. Now, if you had Barkley in the captain, would you prefer Mahomes or would you prefer Hurts?
Mahomes. Yeah.
Okay. So if we got Mahomes in there, we want to get one of his volume guys in there. So Kelce or Worthy, probably, right?
Kelce would be my favorite.
Kelce? Okay, let's get Kelce in there. So we got Barkley, Mahomes, and Kelce.
Let's get Butker in there.
Let's get who?
Butker.
Okay, like that. Let's get Butker in there. Gonna leave us with 4K per guy. We can go in the scrubby range. We like Smith-Schuster, P. Ryan, or Watson. Which one of those guys do you lean in this one?
Smith-Schuster, P. Ryan, or Watson. I'm gonna go P. Ryan. Let's make it. We're playing a pretty chalky team, so let's go P. Ryan.
Okay. Now that gives us an option of Hunt. If we put Hunt in there, then we got a 5-1 build. But here, check this out. If we swapped out a P. Ryan and we went with Watson, this can leave us 7,400. Does that get us to Smith? That gets us to Smith. It zeroes us out. That's going to be a chalky build. But this is the type of build where I could see it hitting, maybe pretty easily. We got Barkley, we got Smith, Smith expecting the volume against the Chiefs, Barkley in the captain. We got Mahomes to Kelce, one of his top options. We've talked about it all show about how we think Kelce's going to have a game. Butker, we think that Butker has a good potential in this one. And then Watson could be that sneaky, scrub that gets the touchdown. The problem with this is, we're probably going to be competing, depending on Barkley's ownership in the captain. We're hoping he comes in under 10%. By the time we get closer to the game time. Yeah. So you think it's going to pretty much be on point with around that 11% mark, Bob?
I think it's going to be higher.
Things be higher. If you had to guess, like where would you pin it?
Like 17%.
17% Barkley?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go in a different direction. This is a good, chalky build for anyone who isn't afraid of potentially having a really good lineup that doesn't hit because too many people are going in the same direction. Now, one of my favorite plays is Hollywood in the captain. And I like Hollywood in the captain because I think that, like I said, I think that if the Chiefs have an option between going intermediate and going deep with the Eagles, defending both equally good, I think they might lean towards going deep. And in that situation, I could see Hollywood Brown, kind of breaking out in this one. And I'd put Mahomes and Barkley in that lineup. If I got Brown in there, I don't mind putting Kelce or Worthy in there too. But let's go down here a little bit more. I want to get Goedert maybe in this one, or Smith. Do you have a preference on those ones?
Goedert. Sorry, it's NBA lock. I'm just trying to.
Oh, you're good, man. Yeah, I'll talk through this one. I'll put Goedert in there. So we got Goedert and Barkley on the Eagles side. So that leaves me with 7K per guy, which puts us in a pretty good shape because I can get Kelce or Worthy in here and get some more of that, stable volume. We both like Kelce. We talked it up all show. Leaves us with 5,100. And that puts us again in that Butker range. Hopkins, got plenty of options there. So we keep kind of landing on that 4-2 Chiefs build. 4-2 Chiefs builds are projected to be higher owned than the 4-2 Eagles build. So if we wanted to go in a different direction there, we could clear that out. Let's maybe put AJ Brown in the captain. Bob and I both like AJ Brown as a captain option. If we did that, I'm going to lean with Hurts in this one. And we've been talking about how we want to, try to get as much as Barkley, Mahomes, and Hurts in the same lineup as possible. So let's go with Barkley in this one. I know Bob likes Barkley. Let's say that the Chiefs are struggling in the red zone. Let's get Butker in there. Gonna leave us with 4,100 per guy. Let's get one of these scrubby guys. Let's go with Watson. 7,600. What kind of Chief does that leave us with? Not many Chiefs, but if we wanted to go with Devonta Smith, we could do that. We could put a Hollywood in this lineup. And leave 2,200. If we take Watson out in that situation, we could put Gray in this lineup. You know what? Like, screw that. Let's get Kelce in this lineup and see what that does for us. We can't even get him in that. Yeah, so I mean, like if you wanted to put Gray, he's going to be the popular pivot off of Kelce. We do that. We can still get Hollywood Brown. We can get Pacheco if you guys think that Pacheco could hit. And we got like an option like Hopkins. If you wanted to go 4-2 on the Chiefs, I mean on the Eagles, I think the better captain option, you can probably go with Smith if you want to go in that direction. So let's put Smith in the captain, and then that's going to leave us with 8,700. You'll gives us options like Worthy, Hunt. But if
I'd go Worthy.
Worthy, yeah, I think Worthy makes sense there because we're looking for the volume guy. So I mean that's a good Smith lineup right there. Bob, how are you doing on lock? Are you past lock?
Past it, yeah.
Cool. All right, so Bob, why don't you lead us with one of these lower owned captains on who you think could hit.
Just gonna see who's lower owned.
Kelce's under 10% too.
Kelce's under 10. Let's do Kelce. Yeah. Right.
Let's go with Kelce.
Kelce, Mahomes. Barkley. Let me see what other options we have. I'm right back to Butker. I think Butker's.
Yep.
I think he's just a really good play.
Yeah. This is 4,700 per guy.
Yeah, let's use Hollywood.
Yep.
And then flex 4,100. What do we have for? I don't mind going Gray and Kelce.
Yeah.
So
I think, I think I like that too because I think Kelce could get a lot of volume, and then I think Gray could be a sneaky touchdown guy.
Yeah, but is Kelce still optimal? If Gray catches a touchdown, I still think he can be optimal. I don't know. Let's not do that. Let's do Watson at 600.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do Watson. Yep.
And leave 3,500 on the table?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So that's it. That's it for this episode. Hopefully we gave you some ideas as far as a player pool and, like maybe mess it around with some of those groups. But Bob, thanks again for jumping on. Like where can they find your Super Bowl content? You mentioned you were in
I'll be on the expert survey. So.
Expert survey?
Yeah.
Nice. And it's always good talking to you, man. And
good talking to you too, Simon.
Yeah, we'll have to get some best ball going on this summer.
You don't want my best ball takes. Yeah, after
dude, my best ball teams were horrible too. So maybe maybe the combination of us can cancel each other out.
It's funny. I had a good year 2 years ago doing the same strategy, but not this year. I got absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, it was brutal this year. But yeah, love having you on, Bob. And make sure to hit that like button. Looking for 30 likes to put my favorite plays in the comment section, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. I need about 100 before the end of the Super Bowl. Definitely appreciate everyone who subscribed so far. If you haven't, hit that subscribe. And Bob, what's your Twitter handle?
Bobby Gomes DFS.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.